Okay. So welcome everyone. So we ended up in a what Anjali described as a rabbit hole after going down blow your own trumpet last time. Do you remember? And then we talked about boasting and bragging and all that kind of thing. And then we also dealt with misgivings. Can somebody just remind us what, somebody remind me what blow your own trumpet means?
Means bragging about your own self. Boasting about yourself.
Exactly. And then misgivings, what are misgivings? So I have misgivings. What do I have?
It means I have doubts.
Yes, exactly. Particularly about something in the future. Yeah, I've got misgivings about this exam that's coming up. Right, so then nobody answered this, right? But I did try on the group to get things going, but nobody seems to read my posts hardly. On the group, I said, if my memory serves me right. Do you remember that?
That means like if you remember it correctly.
Yeah, it does mean that. So let me just share my share this. If my memory serves. Okay, Io's going to join. Serves me right. She was cooking. How can you be cooking rather than going to class? If memory serves. Yeah, if memory serves, I remember accurately. If I remember accurately, if my memory serves me. So we say this is a little bit of an interjection. When we say it, like we always remember. So if my memory serves me right, you live in Bihar. Yeah. But I know you live in Bihar. So I don't. It could be I've got a little bit of a doubt about it, and so if my memory serves me right, but I'm really almost asking you to correct me. I'm being polite in saying that. That's how I would use it, right? My memory serves me right. You live in Bihar, which is in the northeast of India. You know, so it's a kind of a manner of speaking that we use a lot. Yeah. So there we go. Right. Rude health. Yeah, this is a good one. Rude health. Do you know what rude health means? No.
Rude health.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay. So it's got nothing to do with being rude, okay? Yeah. So when people ask me how I'm feeling, I always say this: I'm in rude health, strong, and I'll get my Spanish away. Strong and healthy. Yeah. So it means strong and healthy. I'm in rude health. I'm in really good health. I feel great. I don't feel lousy. I don't feel tired. I feel great. I feel, yeah. Wow. Rude health. It's quite a good expression, that. Rude health. Okay. So are you all feeling in rude health today? Right. The next expression I'm going to teach you.
It's actually 11:45, almost 12 in India, but still.
I know, but
I'm in rude health.
but you're fit as a fiddle. You're not even 30, right? You're not even 30, and you do yoga and you cycle and you eat well. So I would expect you to be in rude health.
Yes, yes. I'm not actually very consistent these days.
So you're honest as well and candid. It's good. Okay. I would still say age has an, being young has got an advantage over being old, though, of course. So there's EO joining us now. That's good. So the next expression is
Good afternoon, sorry.
hi EO, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. What about you?
I'm doing great. I'm in rude health. And Anjali will explain to you what rude health means.
Okay. So if someone is in rude health, it means that someone is feeling very strong and healthy.
Yeah. It's shared on the screen here. In rude health, strong and healthy. Exactly. And it's got nothing to do with being rude, right? Being rude. What does rude mean? On its own, rude. Anyone? Sudansi?
Not rude.
Yes, rude basically means like being impolite.
Correct. Exactly. Rough and unfinished state. Rude wooden plows. Lacking refinement or delicacy. Marked by or suggestive of lack of training or skill. Robust, sturdy, occurring abruptly, disconcertingly. The definition you give of being impolite is also there, but I can't see it here. Yeah, offensive in manner or action. There you go. Discourteous. That's, I would say that's how we would use it mostly, would be in that sense, right? And so rude health, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just an expression we say, rude health. I don't know what the etymology is, where it comes from, but it's pretty good expression. Now,
Sir, that expression is a common expression in UK?
yeah, very common. Common.
But it's informal, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Now, I want to also point out, in case I forget, that Sudansu is your best buddy because he learned German 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's just beginner level.
Yeah, he's been a bit modest, but he has learned German, and you're thinking of learning German or starting to learn German. So it might be good to have a contact who's learn German to practice
Me,
with.
sir.
Yeah, to practice with. There you go. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next word then. Next expression is, yeah, in other news. Do you know the expression in other news? No. So this is a common idiom here, and I didn't think you would know it. And so I wanted to teach you that. Okay, in other news. Okay.
Maybe similar to in other hand? No.
Repeat, Io, repeat.
That if maybe similar to say in another hand?
On the other hand, no, doesn't mean that. If you say on the other hand, that's a good guess though. Good guess. Good guess. Hang on, let me interrupt myself and just double check that I've sent somebody the right number. Right, this class is 66, ends in 66. So if I click in that guy, sorry, 1 second. So 6. Yeah, I said that right. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So you would use the other hand, on the other hand, if you were expressing alternatives, right? So we would say on the other hand, and we summarize that by doing this. On the other hand, like that, OTOH, when we're like texting, WhatsApping, yeah, on the other hand. So I could say Spanish is quite an easy language because it's based on it's Latin, it's a Latin language. On the other hand, they actually speak so quickly, 12 syllables a second, it is really hard to learn to speak it and to hear it. Yeah. So it might appear simple at the start, but actually it's not. And then you get into this thing called the conjugation of verbs, and that is total witchcraft. So on the other hand, it's not so easy as I first thought, you see? So basically you say one thing and then another, on the other hand, right? Another way of, it's like another way of looking at the same thing. I would quite like to learn an Indian language, but the problem is there isn't one Indian language, right? There's hundreds of them. So it might make sense to learn Hindi because that's kind of a lingua franca. But people have got a real preference for speaking in their mother tongue. So in Kolkata, it's Bengali, and in Delhi, it's Marathi. And I don't know what it is in Bihar. What is it in Bihar?
No, in Delhi, people speak Hindi. In Mumbai, people speak Marathi. And
Mumbai.
in Bihar also.
Very good. Hindi, did you?
Yeah. In Bihar, actually, there are so many regional languages, but we speak Hindi. Hindi is the common language. And if you know Hindi, you can actually communicate with people in India easily.
Okay, well, in the fullness of time, you can teach me some Hindi. But that will be after Iho has taught me some Spanish.
Yes.
Okay. On the other hand, so if I come back to what yeah, it was in other news. So that's in define in. I would describe as it's a mechanism you prepositional phrase, conjunction idiomatic broadcasting used by readers to introduce an unrelated piece of news. See that? Use readers another piece of news. You should introduce an unrelated topic, by the way, apropos. So we're chatting away and we're talking about the meaning of some English word or something. And then I could say, in news, I've just heard, and Eo, what were you cooking? Does it taste good? Now you see what I did there. I basically pivoted the conversation from one topic to another. So we're chatting away and I'm now changing the conversation. Normally you flow one thing to the next and it's logical, right? But if I completely change the topic of conversation, in order to signpost that, to herald that, I'll say in other news. So we're chatting away with this in other news, class on this week because I'm taking a few days off. I'm going away. So I've changed the topic of conversation quite quickly. Rather than just do that, I signpost it by saying in other news. So it comes from news media, but people like in regular speech as well. Like another thing people would say is, "Oh, have you heard? Oh, by the way, have you heard?" Yeah. So that girl I was telling you about, Ritika, is studying machine language for her exams next week. She'll join next week, so that'll be quite nice. A year ago, yeah, and she's from Delhi, but now studying in the United States. Okay. So that was another news. Is everybody comfortable with that? Everybody got that?
Yes, I think like we use this phrase or idiom in a very formal situation. Is it okay if we use it in informal situation? Like,
Yeah.
for example, I'm chatting with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. We would use it in an informal. Do it in a formal situation, but you can do it in informal. It would be probably more formal than informal, but like in an informal situation, goes. I would say reasonably frequently. I'll tell you something else, just randomly. I'll say, "Oh, by the way, another news." Blah blah blah.
Okay.
Good one to know. Definitely good one to know. In other news. Right. The next one I'm going to teach you is side hustle. So, do you know what side hustle is?
Secondary source of income.
Excellent. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So, that is a we'll teach you in a piece of work or a job that you get for addition to your
So you're breaking up a lot. Or I think yeah.
Yes, for me also actually.
So I don't know why that would be the case. If it happens again. My headset. Take my headset off. So tell me if it happens again, okay?
It is actually happening.
Is it constantly?
Yeah, your video is completely constant. You have a good bandwidth with the video, but your audio is actually being cut on in the mid.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's okay. It's perfect, I think.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, you think it would be really good with a headset, huh? There must be some kind of interferences going on.
Maybe.
I put the headset on to make it better for you guys. So
this is happening for the first time actually.
That's good to know. Okay. Well, it's a shame if we've ruined the recording. Anyway. Anyhow, as we would say in Scotland, anywho, which is short for anyhow, but it's just the way the Scots would say it. Anywho. A side hustle is a piece of work or a job that you get paid for nothing in addition to doing your main job, right? That's what a side hustle is, right? But we can also say it where you're doing something on the side where you're not actually earning any money. Like I could say my teaching English is a little bit of a side hustle, right? I'm not doing it to earn any money, right? I'm just doing it pro bono, yeah? So, but I'd say I've got, I could say informally say I've got to be side hustle teaching English. Yeah. And it's just something I'm doing on the side as opposed to my main job. So that's kind of an informal way. More examples. Promoting parties is my side hustle. I get paid, but not the amount that I want. I especially like the idea of investing in a side hustle. Fashion design is my side hustle, she said, but I want it to be my main hustle. Okay. Everybody clear on that? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Now, two words that sound alike, you'll know the meaning. And that is pause and pause. If I said spell pause, spell it, Anjali.
Pause.
Pause, yeah.
P-A-U-S-E.
Okay, you said that. But what are these things that a bear has?
Okay. P-A-W-S.
Exactly. So this is to illustrate that pause and pause sound the same to the ear. You see that? And they've got obvious meanings. Like I could pause my speech if I suddenly I've paused, right? And you wonder, did I freeze? But I didn't. I just paused for effect, right? So I paused, or I can pause. I could pause my video and turn it off for a moment because I need to go somewhere else and do something. And these are the paws of an animal, okay? But it sounds the same to the ear, and you would just know the difference by context. Everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
Yes.
EO, you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Right. So that's pause and pause. Now, the next one is a really good expression, and I don't think any of you will know this. Internecine. My guess is you will not know it. Internecine. So internecine is like within the family, within the party, and it's often used where there's like conflict. Internecine war or fighting happens between members of the same group, religion, or country. It's often used like that with war, internecine war, or fighting, or in politics. Because normally you would have a party or a country, and if it was fight, would fight another country. But if you get something happening within, that's taking away, then obviously you need a word to describe that, and so that's called internecine. Internecine.
Internecine.
Oh, internecine. Who knew?
Internecine.
Internecine. Okay. It sounds like I don't pronounce it right. So Americans say internecine.
Internecine.
Internecine. Internecine.
Internecine.
Internecine. And that's how I say it.
Internecine.
Internecine. Internecine politics. So that is a really good word. Okay. Internecine politics, whatever. Now, I did mansplaining already on the group chat, and Elham answered it. Did you all get that? What does mansplaining mean? So Anjali and Eo can't mansplain, right? For obvious reasons. But Shidansu could.
Okay, so it's like when a man explains it.
Yes, but he's explaining it to a woman.
How?
Right? And he's talking down to her. So if you started to explain say to Anjali, say, for example, something about the way ambassadors work, right? Let's just say you decided to do that. And you said to Anjali, you know, ambassadors do this and they do that and stuff like that, right? Well, you would look really stupid because Anjali knows all about that much more than you do. You see? And so, but men tend to do this. They tend to sometimes think they know more than a woman and try and explain things simply to them. And so a woman can put the guy down by saying, thank you for mansplaining that to me. I really appreciate that. And that makes him feel lower, you see? If a woman ever said that to you directly, you'd really feel in your place. Like you'd feel like cut off at the knees if a woman said that to you. But what they would often do is they wouldn't say it to your face. They would say it to their pal, their female pal. Oh, that guy Alan was mansplaining to me. Yeah, you know, all about this and that or whatever, right? So it's the worst thing. The worst thing that can happen to guys to be put down by a woman, right?
Is there any antonym to that?
What?
Is there any antonym to that?
No, there's not.
No.
There is not. I've checked that up. There is not. Femsplaining is never cotton on and doesn't really happen. It's caused by a fault in the males because they sometimes think they're superior or more knowledgeable. It is the worst thing that can happen to a guy is to be accused of mansplaining or to mansplain. Like to mansplain is kind of bad, but to be accused of mansplaining is terrible. You never live it down. It's a great word. I love it. I love it.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for introducing this word in my life. Now I'll use it.
It's just really
Very often.
like if you said to a guy, "Oh, thank you for mansplaining that to me," you know, it would make him feel so low, feel this high, you know.
Yes, yes.
So it's reasonably common now. It's been around for a decade or two, you know. So right, so that's mansplaining. Yeah, now the next term I want to introduce you to is trumps. Right, trumps. Now what I mean by this is, as an example, X trumps Y. First of all, have you ever heard that expression? Something trumps something else. No. Okay. And EO, I assume the answer is no from you as well, right? So something trumps something else. Okay. So let me explain where it comes from first. And once you understand where it comes from, then you'll understand why people say it. It comes from a game that we played as children called trump cards. And how trump cards work is, if we all played trump cards are on a subject. It could be like football players, it could be cricket players, it could be cars, you know, more powerful cars, less powerful cars. And on each thing, there would be different things about the car, how fast it was, how powerful it was, what it weighs, and so on like that. And so every card has a score. And so what you do is, when you're putting down the cards, I would put a card down, and then Anjali would look at her cards, and if she had a card that trumped my card, she could say, I could put my card down. So I put a card down and it's a Ford GT, but she puts a card down and it's a Porsche. She says Porsche trumps Ford GT. And so she then lifts all those cards. So she gets all the cards back. And then we start again. So we start putting cards down, and then I put a card down. So she puts down a card of Porsche, and then Sudansa, he's holding his cards, and he looks and he says, I've got a Ferrari. Ferrari's faster than the Porsche. So he says the Ferrari
trumps the Porsche. So he takes the whole card pack then. You see?
Oh yeah, we used to play this game, and it was related to the WWE World Wrestling.
Exactly. It can be in all sorts of different topics, right? I mean, I played this when I was a child, right? Now, so that's where it comes from. That's the game. Now, out of that has been born this expression where you'd say something trumps something else. You see? So, for example, let's look at a real example. So somebody says, I've got a diesel car. And you see, it's very economical. It does 50 miles to the gallon. Say should answer says that. Anjali says, oh, do you know what? I actually have a petrol car. And it's extremely economical. I get 60 miles to the gallon and it's better for the environment. So my car trumps yours. That's how you'd use it. My car trumps yours. It means that my car's better than yours, right? It's better than yours. But I could say, oh, but I've got an electric car. And it doesn't, it has an infinite number of miles to the gallon. I don't put any petrol in it whatsoever. So that trumps Anjali's car, by the way. I don't have one, by the way. I've got a boring diesel car. But I'm just saying that if you know what the expression is, that's what it means. Something trumps something else. It means that it's better than it. It's inherently better than it. Something trumps something else. So let's go into, let's see if there is a dictionary definition of this. A card that belongs to the group of cards has been chosen to have the highest value in a particular game. I played a trump. Luckily, I drew a trump. Yeah, so it's not really in the game that I want to use it because I want to show you how it's used, you know, in normal work, in the normal parlance. So here's an example. To beat someone or something, doing something or producing something better. Their $60 million bid for the company was trumped at the last moment by an offer of almost twice as much from their main competitor. See that? Their offer was trumped. To be better than or have importance or power than another person or thing, they operated on the assumption that money trumped everything. See that? Okay, so let me pause, P-A-U-S-E, and just check. Has everyone got that? Does everyone feel comfortable that they understand the word trump and trumps? Yeah? Now, I'm getting the Indian head bob. See, like this? I've figured out how to do it, by the way. And I even know what it means. It means I understand. It doesn't mean I agree necessarily. It means I understand. When you're white and you do it in India on a bus or something like that, everyone does it back to you. They're so pleased that you're doing it, you think? Because us Ferengis, for eel that means foreigner, us Ferengis don't do that, right? We don't have this sort of muscle to do that, right? But the Indians love it. So if I see somebody from India, not an Indian born and bred in Britain, they don't have it, right? But everyone who's from the continent of India bobs their head, meaning I agree. So you see, we say that for yes and this for no, but we don't have anything for I agree, right? So there you go. So I've learned some cultural interchange in all my time.
a way of non-verbal communication.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Non-verbal communication. Right. Right. Where do we go after trumps? Yeah, whirl. I want to teach you the meaning of whirl. Do you know what this means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
I mean, it's just
Yes.
moving
Right.
in a circular direction, like the Whirlpool, the company of the washing
Yeah.
machine, that has got the name from whirl only.
Correct. Correct. Right. Now, correct. But what would it mean if I said, I'm going to give it a whirl? This is the meaning I want you to learn. This idiom. I'm going to give something a whirl. What would
Is
that
it
mean?
something related to taking revenge?
No.
I think it's something like giving it one more try, or like I will go through it once more.
Yeah, and you're almost there. You're very good. That's an answer, right? You're very good, right? You're almost there. It means I'm going to give something a try. That's all it means. I'm going to give something a try. So, you know, I could say, oh, I've got a new phone. I'm just getting it set up. I'm going to give it a whirl after the call. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to try it, right? I've got it. Anjali just got a new bicycle and she was giving it a whirl. She was trying it, giving it a whirl. Yeah. So let's see what the dictionary says. Turn around in circles, right? Yep. So it's not finding it, just not words. So let's just define. Give it a whirl. To make a brief or experimental try. As in, I've never made a pie, but I'll give it a whirl. Colloquial, it comes from the 1800s. Very interesting, isn't that right? Isn't that very interesting? It comes from the 1800s. I've never made a pie, but I'm going to give it a whirl. You know, I never made a naan bread before, but recently I gave it a whirl and I made some garlic naan and it turned out great, by the way. I made wholemeal naan breads. You'd be impressed. I was impressed. It was good. Okay. So, okay, we're all comfortable with that? Giving it a whirl.
Yes.
And somebody is WhatsApping me, which is all these beeps. Are you hearing lots of beeps coming through? Right, here's another really good word. Jaded. Jaded. You know this word? So the meaning comes up really quickly here, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna write it in there because Google just tells you what it means immediately. Jaded. Anyone? No? Okay. Bored or lacking enthusiasm, typically after having too much of something. Meals to tempt the most jaded appetites. Physically tired, exhausted. I have to work tonight and I don't want to become totally jaded before I get there. So a bit exhausted, right? But mostly we don't say it like that. Mostly we use it like this. I'm tired of something. I've seen it before. I'm not interested. I'm just jaded, right? Yeah. Do you like Indian food, Alan? Yes, I do. But you know, I eat it so much, I'm getting a bit jaded. It's almost going in the direction of being a little bit cynical and unappreciative of something. So you'd say a jaded old so-and-so, right? Jaded old man. There you go. Jaded old definition. If someone says you look a little jaded, it just means you look tired. The history of jaded is not clear, but perhaps it's related to the noun jade, an old term for a worn-out horse. Didn't know that. Every day's a school day. Even if not, picturing a tired old horse may be a nice way to remember that jaded means dulled or tired from too much of something. Okay, dulled or tired from too much of something. Jaded. Okay, next word I want to define is ambition. Now, I know you know what ambition is, right? But I want you to understand the difference between ambition and aspiration. So before we look it up, does anybody know? Who can tell me, first of all, what aspiration means? And then for proper kudos, I want you to tell me what the difference is between ambition and aspiration.
I think both of them are similar only. You aspire to be something in future, and ambition is the same thing, I guess.
Yeah, so they don't mean exactly the same thing, because otherwise it wouldn't have two words, right? They mean different things, but they are in the same milieu, right? Definitely. But there's nuances of difference between them. Ambition is defined as an ardent desire for rank, fame, or power, while aspiration is defined as a strong desire to save something high or great. You see the difference there? So Alexander the Great was driven by ambition to conquer the world, right? It was an ardent desire for rank, fame, and power. Nothing less would do. He fell on his bed and wept when he was 30 years of age because he had conquered the world and there was no more world to conquer, according to legend, right? He had come from Greece and he had got as far as the Indus River in Pakistan and conquered everything, all the Persians, everything. He was crowned king of Egypt. And, you know, the whole of Asia, he owned it, right? He owned it. So that's ambition. And ambition sometimes is seen as positive, sometimes it can be negative. It's the kind of thing that, you know, you can easily go too far in it and be too ambitious, you know, and not care about other people, not care about family, and so on and so forth, right? So ambition is not always seen as a positive thing. Aspiration is normally seen as a positive thing in almost all contexts. And aspiration is defined as a strong desire to achieve something high or great, right? So, you know, I aspire to learn Spanish. I think that would be a good thing. I would also like to learn Hindi, but that might be a bit too much for me to try and learn two foreign languages which are entirely different. After I spend time learning Spanish, I might get so jaded learning languages that I don't want to learn Hindi. But if I had infinite time, I would learn Hindi and I would learn Chinese. And I'd love to visit these continents and be able to communicate with people in their mother tongue.
Can we, Aaron sir, can we like use it like a politician who aspired, a person who aspires to become a politician is a better person, is a better politician who whose ambition is to become a politician.
Yes, but in that context, you're really saying both the words in an interchangeable way. There's no real definition and meaning there. But by the way you said that, you have got the meaning, right? But you could say, it might be better to say something like this to distinguish. I want to become a politician because I aspire to make people's lives better. But that's character A. Character B says, I'm ambitious to be a politician because I want to rule the world. And I want to be prime minister and rule the country, right? So that's ambition. Aspiration is, I have a desire, which is a high and lofty thing, to achieve some good goal. So aspirations are nearly always seen as positive. Comfortable?
Yep.
Cool. Right. So we've done jaded, we've done ambition, we've done aspiration. Now I want to talk about this word, imposter. What does that mean? What is an imposter?
A person who is deceiving, not showing his or her true self.
You're getting warm. I can deceive you without being an imposter. The word imposter has got a very specific meaning. An imposter is someone who is pretending to be something they're not. Right? Personally. That's what an imposter is. So somebody, for example, who dresses up as a policeman, gets the garb, and goes out and starts stopping the traffic, but they're not a policeman, they are an imposter. That's a rank imposter because they are pretending to be what they're not. And they have no real authority. And that's seen as a serious crime, and they would be put in jail for that if they were discovered, right? So that's an imposter. An imposter is a person who pretends to be someone else. An imposter usually seeks some kind of financial gain when he or she assumes another person's identity, but there can be other motivations, like simply the thrill of doing it. Like, the people who dress up as Elvis, everybody knows Elvis is dead, but they dress up as Elvis because Elvis was famous, and they think that somehow they'll get a bit of kudos by looking like him. So there's people that slick their hair and they wear the same kind of glasses and the same kind of glam outfits and stuff like that. But that's not really seen as a negative thing. That's just a fun thing. But a genuine imposter is someone who is making out to be something or someone that they're not. That's what an imposter is.
I think we have done this word before also.
Yeah, we have probably.
And you actually told us a story. It was about a woman who actually used to dress up like a man, and she was fighting with someone, like it was some war kind of situation. I don't remember. I'm not able to recall that story exactly.
Are you sure it was me that taught you that?
I think yes.
I don't remember that.
Maybe then.
I honestly don't remember that. Anyway, I did imposter because I wanted to teach you this expression, imposter syndrome. That's really where I was going. Imposter syndrome. And I want you to understand what imposter syndrome is. Anyone have a clue? So the expression imposter syndrome is very common. It's very common in technology and in GAFAs, the Google, Apple, Facebook's, Amazon type companies, the big tech what are called the tech titans. People who work in these companies often suffer from imposter syndrome. Any clue? Well, I'll tell you. Imposter syndrome is the feeling that you're an imposter. You got a job in a big company, a tech titan company, and you worked really hard, the interview, you got in, fantastic, you've got a job. But you discover that everybody around about you is really smart, like really smart. And they work really hard. And you feel a fraud. You feel, I'm not as good as all these people around about me. You feel like an imposter. You're not an imposter. You got the job fair and square. You beat off competition to get that job. You have that job. They made a choice. But it doesn't stop some people from feeling that they're not good enough. And that feeling is imposter syndrome. Is loosely defined as doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. We use that word actually. It disproportionately affects high achieving people. See that? It is the smart people that it affects. Who find it difficult to accept their accomplishments. Many question whether they're deserving of accolades. What are accolades? Accolades are rewards. Accolades are when you're celebrated by others. You get an award for this or that, or that's what an accolade is. That's a good word you should learn as well. Okay, are we comfortable that we understand imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at accolade. If someone is given an accolade, something is done or said about them which shows how much people admire them. The Nobel Prize has become the ultimate accolade in the sciences. Right? Very true statement, right? If you win the Nobel Prize for anything, when your name is ever mentioned again, you will be described as the Nobel Prize winner. So Sudhanshu Chanda, the Peace Prize winner from 2023. Or the Nobel Prize for Sciences or for English or for whatever, right? Obviously. Okay.
That's a praise, basically. That means
it's praise. Praise. It's praise. Accolade is praise, but it's like public. If I praised you, Sudhanshu, like privately, that's just praise, right? But an accolade is a kind of public recognition. Okay. So we've done that. We've done imposter. We've done imposter syndrome. Now here's a good word. Repugnant. What does that mean? When it's at home. There's another expression we use. I'll teach that in a minute. When it's at home. We say that a lot. When it's at home. But first of all, repugnant. What does repugnant mean? Anyone?
What?
No? You don't know? Oh, that's good. We learn something every day. Repugnant. If you think something is horrible or disgusting, you can say it's repugnant. Simple as that. The odor is repugnant to insects. The committee said his actions were improper and repugnant. Synonyms: distasteful, offensive, foul, disgusting. So you never want to be described as repugnant. So I said earlier that, you know, the worst thing can happen to a man is getting put down by a woman, right? So if she says you're mansplaining to me, that's very bad. But if she said you were repugnant, you know, that's like, it just says you're disgusting, right? That's just the worst thing we could say. It's so bad that people would never hardly say it to you. They would probably say repulsive instead of repugnant. Oh, he's just repulsive. I can't stand that guy. Okay, repugnant. We got it? Yeah. Okay. That's repugnant. Right. Here's a really interesting expression. When it's at home, right? So let's define this. Let's see if the internet can find this. And I know you won't know this expression, when it's at home, right? And it's got nothing to do with your house. What does when it's at home mean? Isn't it just wonderful we can look these things up on the internet these days? But you needed me to tell you about them because otherwise you'd never hear about them. When it's at home of a person, in reality, in fact, when it comes down to it, of a topic, plainly, in plain English, at its most basic level. So that's what it means, right? So if I said to you, let me use an example, right? I mean, tell me, Anjali, what is it really like living in Bihar, right? When it's at home. So like, I'm just sticking it in there as a kind of an expression. And what I'm really getting at is tell me honestly, tell me at its most basic level, like, what is it like? So I can recall a conversation a few weeks ago with Anjali where she told me that when it's at home, being an ambassador is not that interesting. And so she decided to switch gears and pursue a different career. Now, from the context, I'm sure you could all figure out what I said there and the meaning, my sentiments. Yes? Makes sense? Perfect sense? Yes. I'm getting the head bobs. So that's good. Right. Now, I said two things of interest there, I think, right? One was I said, when it's at home, which has got nothing to do with the home. It just means at its most basic level, like when somebody's at home, they're sort of themselves, they're in their most comfortable position. And so we're using that as a kind of a metaphor to speak about anything else. When it's at home, what's it really like, right? That's right. So we've got that meaning. The other thing I said was, I said she decided to switch gears. Switch gears. Do you remember I said that? Now, what does switch gears mean?
To switch the domain, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously, motor cars and bicycles and motorcycles, they change gears, right? And that's just a basic thing. Everybody understands that, right? So if you switch gears, yeah. So here, right. So to switch gears, to change speed, accelerate, or slow down when driving a car, right? Idiom, let's switch gears, is I suggest we change the tone or subject of discussion. And that's how I used it. So I said, Anjali decided she was going to switch gears and do a different thing, right? So she's changing something. It could be the tone or subject of discussion, but you know, it could also be like anything, right? I'm changing careers and whatever. So we were chatting about weather in Bihar at this time of year. And then we decided to change gears and talk about Modi and politics. You see, we decided to switch gears. So we changed what we're talking about. Yeah, switched gears, pure idiom. But it's all these idioms that, you know, make people sound, understand natives, number one, and secondly, sound like a native, right? Even if you speak with an accent, if you said, I want to switch gears now and do this or that, you know, you'll really sound totally native. Okay. So we've been going for about an hour, so we'll pretty much stop now. But I'll maybe do one or two more. Right. Stupor. Oops. So I've completely lost my notes where it was. What is a stupor? Any ideas?
No.
Don't know that word? Okay, good to learn. A stupor is a state of near unconsciousness or insensibility. So a drunken stupor. So if you took too much whiskey, you would end up in a stupor. But it doesn't have to be drunk, right? You can be in a stupor because, you know, of exhaustion. Somebody was running in a marathon race, and with the heat and humidity and dehydration, they ended up in a kind of a stupor, right? Or somebody was ill and they had a fever and they ended up in a stupor. Yeah. I'll say sentences. Ryan blinked himself out of his stupor enough to steady himself. Waking from her stupor, she blew him a kiss. Sophia hung on the phone, feeling as if she were emerging from a stupor for the first time in months. "33 stupor sentence examples." Right, let's look these up. Rin blinked himself out of his stupor enough to steady himself. Sophia hung by the phone, feeling as if she were emerging from a stupor for the first time in months. He ultimately sank into a condition of mental stupor and became the obedient slave of the upstart Struensee. The dangerous principle is a narcotic, and the symptoms are usually great nausea, drowsiness, stupor, and pains in the joints. Frederick, presently to be renowned Emperor Frederick II, Emperor Fredericus, stupor mundi et imitor mirabilis. Okay, great. We're in Latin or something. His raised voice pulled her out of her stupor. It was only a slight brush, not enough to fully wake him from the depth of the stupor. How long was she sitting in her stupor? Okay, so a condition of being not asleep and not awake, but not fully compos mentis, not fully with it.
So it could be, can it be used like students came out of the stupor as soon as they heard the bell rang from of a boarding class?
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. So we've got that. Right, last word I'm going to teach you today is ardent. Ardent. What does that mean? Ardent. Any idea? No. That's good. Very enthusiastic or passionate. Okay. An ardent supporter of the cause of education. Burning or glowing, the ardent flames. That's archaic and literary. That's not really used. We don't really say that. But we use this like this a lot. You know, an ardent young man, right? Somebody who's really just so keen. An ardent politician. An ardent feminist. You wouldn't say it about sport, right, so much, but it's something where there's a cause, right? You've got a strong drive and something you believe in, and you're very sincere in it. You would use the word ardent to describe that. Does that make sense? I just thought of something there that I wasn't going to do, but do you know what a cause célèbre is? Cause célèbre? No? This is a good term to know. It's obviously French, right? Cause célèbre.
Cause célèbre.
Cause célèbre. A controversial issue that attracts a great deal of public attention. So the vaccination, and whether it's legitimate or some kind of conspiracy, is a cause célèbre at the moment. Yeah. An issue or incident arising widespread controversy, outside campaigning, and heated public debate. The term continues in the media in all senses. It is something used positively for celebrated legal cases for their precedent value, and often more negatively for infamous ones, whether for scale, outreach, scandal, conspiracy theories. The term is a French phrase in common usage in English, since it has been fully adopted into English and is fully unitalicized in English dictionaries. It is not normally italicized despite its French origin. Cause célèbre. Cause célèbre. Good one to know.
Yes.
In French, actually, I've noticed these signs, above the letters.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Umlaut.
Yeah. So they show you where you got emphasis and help you in the pronunciation of the, it's the same in Spanish. Like in Spanish, if you can say sí. What do you say? If I go translate, right? And if I go to English and say if, right, the word is see. See that? See? Pronounced see. But if I say yes, it's see
See.
with an I you see that? So change the meaning of the word, right? And normally when you've got multiple syllables, it changes where the emphasis is. But it doesn't change the emphasis if you've just got two letters in it. It's C and C. And you have to know by context which word is it. Do I mean if or do I mean yes? See?
Yes.
I don't know. I did do French at school, but it's a fifth form, but I don't know French so well. But I did do it for 5 years. I would like to learn French as well. I think it's a lovely sounding language. Okay, on that note, I will bid you adieu.
Bid you goodbye.
Exactly, and that's a French word, right? Adieu. But we say it in English as well, right? So it's another one of these ones that, what do you say? I'll just type it in. Goodbye. A goodbye. Whisper de fond adieu. Yeah. So it is fully French, but it's also fully accepted into English. It comes from French. It's a borrowed word. A shortening of adieu vous comment. I commend you to God. I did not know that. Right enough. Adieu is God, right? To God. Adieu to God, right? I'm commending you to God. I didn't know that before right now.
Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day. This is fun, and I learn as much as you guys do. Okay, I will stop my screen share. I'll bid you adieu, and I'm not going to do a class on Thursday because I'm on holiday.
No problem. So we have the next class on Sunday.
But it will
Next
be
one.
next Sunday. I'll have one on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for staying up very late. I appreciate it. It's midnight, or is it 1 o'clock in the morning already?
It's almost 1 o'clock
1 o'clock.
in the night.
No, in the morning.
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's crazy, right? So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.
I'll see you anon. All right.
Bye, bye, bye,
Bye bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.